Hi guys, welcome to my Pretend Cooking Show. I'm Dina Mitchell and this is my kitchen. Today we're gonna make a twist on the traditional Italian tiramisu. This is tiramisu al limoncello. So you just have to imagine the freshness of lemons with a spike of limoncello mixed with this cream, custard, cream, pudding type filling, and it really says summer to me and makes a perfect summer dessert. This is I'm going to show you all of the instructions for making it, but there's a shortcut here where you can substitute lemon curd. So let's get started. We've got 6 basic ingredients. We've got sugar, we have lemons, we have eggs, we have mascarpone, and we have my limoncello that I made myself, and we've got our ladyfingers. So let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is we're going to separate 5 eggs into 2 stainless steel bowls, and I've already started. So let me just finish, and I think I've showed you in a previous show. You want to break your egg in a separate bowl, so if you make a mistake, you don't have to completely throw away the recipe and start all over. So my yolks in one, my egg whites in another. And so the traditional tiramisu with the biscuits dipped in coffee and dusted with chocolate and mascarpone and eggs is so good, and it's actually made with raw eggs. And a lot of people will tell you it's totally fine to do so, but make sure that your eggs are really fresh. Of course, our eggs are treated a little bit different here in America, but it still works, and I eat it all the time, and I've never gotten sick off of it. So now we've got our egg whites and our egg yolks in the other one. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to zest. I zested about 4 to 5 lemons in order to get 3 tablespoons of lemon zest, but my lemons are very small. If you have larger ones, it may only take you 3. And then I'm going to have you juice all 6 lemons into 3/4, so it should give you 3/4 cup of lemon juice, and you want to make sure you strain the lemon juice, get out all the little impurities. And the other thing as far as getting ready is we're going to start simmering the water in a pot, and this is because we're going to make the limoncello sponge, also known as the zabaglione. And if you have a double boiler, go ahead and use that. That works. But I'm going to show you a way where you can make it at home. I want a pot that is big enough for my bowl with the egg yolks to sit in without it touching the water. So it's not touching the water, so it'll work fine. You just want the water to be simmering. I'm going to turn mine up a minute because it's not simmering at all. And let's see. And this is the part where I told you can actually skip this step. And I'm going to put all the instructions in the video, in the description. But you can substitute this part for lemon curd and mix in some limoncello. So let's go ahead and make the limoncello sponge. Into the egg yolks, we put a 1/4 cup of white castor sugar and a 1/2 cup of limoncello. And if you like it really lemony, go ahead and add a tablespoon or even 2 of lemon zest, and it's going to make it that much more lemony. And make sure you whisk this up really well. So this is going to make our custard. And one of the reasons why it's super important that your bowl does not touch your simmering water is because if you don't do this right, you're going to end up with scrambled eggs. But hopefully I'm going to give you some tips so you can make it perfectly without this. Or the other tip, and just use lemon curd mixed with limoncello. But it's just not perfect, but it's easy. So I'm just making sure this is well blended so it'll be less work on the fire. There we go. So I'm going to turn this down. So now this water is simmering. And I'm going to put the pot, now my water is only up to here. You're going to whisk all the way around and under. You cannot leave this unattended. It literally will take you 5 minutes. You can almost time it. If you feel your bowl getting a little bit too hot, just take it off for a second and then put it back on. But again, you want to be very careful that the water is just barely simmering, so therefore you don't cook your eggs. You know when it's done, around the 5-minute mark, is when you remove your whisk and you have a ribbon coming off. Not a perfect ribbon, but it ribbons. And that's going to give you your custard. So I've actually completed this step for you. And I have a cooled one, because that's the next thing you do is put it aside to cool. And I've got one here. And that is your zabaglione. It's the Italian name for lemon curd, because as we know, lemon curd comes from England, right? So the next thing we're going to make is the syrup in which to dip the ladyfingers in. And, whoops. So it's a half a cup of water. Half a cup of lemon juice. Oh, it's all the lemon juice. Sorry, so that's 3/4 cup of lemon juice. And a half a cup of sugar. And my little guy coming out again. And we're gonna put this on the stove. I'd say just medium heat. You're basically gonna bring it up to a boil and then turn it all the way down to a simmer. And cook it around like 3 to 5 minutes. Basically, as of right now, it's still yellow, but you want it to be clear. And that's when you know all the sugar has broken down. Once it's clear, again, 3 to 5 minutes, you're going to take it off heat and then pour in your limoncello, a whole cup of limoncello. Now, if you would like to burn off the alcohol of the limoncello, it took me 2 months to make this, so I don't want to burn it off, and plus I like the spike of limoncello. So I put mine in after it's completely cooled, and that's what this is here, and this is what we're going to dip the ladyfingers in. So then we have our mascarpone, and our mascarpone should be at room temperature, and it's a pound, so these are 8 ounces, so I used 2 of these. And put them in a bowl, and you need to cream this. And I found it's a lot easier just to use a wooden spoon when it's to cream it. I've used others and it just sticks on there, but I want to cream this really well. And we're gonna use blenders on this after anyhow. And then we're going to add all of the lemon zest. And I'm going to go ahead and switch now. I'm going to go ahead and use the blender because it'll be easier. Or you can probably just use a whisk. You just want this to get light and fluffy. And you'll see why in a minute. Hold on a second. Let me wash these beaters off. Hey Brittany, do we have any questions so far?
A lot of highs and a lot of hard eyes. Everyone's loving this recipe so far.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, guys, Brittany's here to help me answer any questions. So if you have any,
I'm behind the camera today.
Okay. That was a quick wash. You know, for the longest time, it took me a long time to figure out that there was one end bigger on one, so I would put it in and it kept falling out. I know you guys probably already knew that, but anyhow. Took me forever. So, or so it seemed. Now we are going to do our egg whites. And it's just with a 1/4 cup of sugar. That's it, right? I just lost that, yep. And we're gonna beat those. It's only gonna take about 2 minutes. And I really couldn't do this before. You can't do this ahead because the egg whites are very temperamental and they'll fall. You're gonna beat them to a stiff beat.
Okay, Dina, we have a question.
So now we have pretty stiff, and that's kind of where you want it. You don't have to have it completely stiff, but you definitely want it. But yeah, what's the question?
Do you have the recipe online?
Yes, I'll post it when I post the IGTV.
And then someone said, I like that you're using a KitchenAid mixer bowl with a handheld mixer.
Right, that's just because I was going to bring out the whole KitchenAid and it was bulky, so.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
So now we have just about everything now. Yep. Okay. So we have our mascarpone mixed with the zest, the lemon zest. We have our zabaglione, which is kind of like a lemon curd. And then we have our egg whites mixed with sugar. And then we additionally have our dipping for the ladyfingers. So now I am going to slowly incorporate the zabaglione with a rubber spatula, about 1/3 at a time. And you're gonna fold it in. And it's important to kind of take your time, otherwise you just spend all that time whipping it. You don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose the height, you don't want to lose the air.
Someone asked, are you using any marsala or is it replaced with the limoncello?
So marsala is one of the versions for making traditional tiramisu. Also coffee liqueur is another one, or just straight coffee in order to flavor. So this is a twist on that recipe, and this is tiramisu al limoncello. So this is, the only alcohol we're using in here is limoncello, and of course you can buy it, but I've already showed you the recipe, and you can make it your own and just use that. If you're looking for a non-alcoholic version, besides you can burn off the alcohol, you can just use lemon sugar water and lemon curd. So you don't have to have alcohol if you don't want to. So I can do a little more.
And then someone asked, how are you doing?
Doing really well. I was a little stressed that this is a complicated recipe to explain, but as it turns out, it's really not. As in any cooking or baking, I think the key is being prepared, well planned. You can see I have all kinds of little tags, so I'm big on notes. And prepping all your ingredients. If you prep them ahead of time, it's really just kind of putting everything together. Pre-measured makes it easy too, because you're just grabbing. And get one last dip in here. And then the last thing we're going to incorporate after we finish putting in the limoncello sponge, which is also called, is we're gonna do the egg whites. And again, we're gonna fold them in. So once I got this in, I'm gonna give it a couple good stirs just to make sure it's incorporated without breaking the air. Okay. Guys, this recipe is so good, and there's so many different tiramisus besides the traditional. There's a pistachio one, there's a lime one, there's an orange one. There's a tiramisu that I've wanted to make, replacing the alcohol with Kahlua. I'd love to do that. And there's also a coffee liqueur that you can get in Italy. It's amazing, and it's, oh my gosh, what is it called? It's called, Cafe Borghetto. Man, that stuff is really good. That would be great in here as well. And when you fold, you're folding from the bottom up, and again, you just take your time on it because you want all of that height. And almost done.
We have another question, and that's, what was the inspiration for this recipe?
Summer, lemons. Well, I love Positano, and Positano is all about the Amalfi Coast, all about their amazing lemons, and as you can tell, I love the limoncello. Lemon, everything is just fresh. I think my dish soap, everything. So this recipe is not, I mean, other people have done it. Tiramisu itself is actually sort of new. It's only been around since like 1970 or so. There's evidence maybe of like 1938, but 1970, and tiramisu didn't really become kind of well known in the US until that movie. Did you guys see that movie Sleepless in Seattle? Well, Tom Hanks happened to mention when he was learning about dating that he said, this tiramisu dessert, I heard the modern women really love it. So when that movie came out, everything was tiramisu and everyone loved it. But the interesting thing is that it's a fairly new recipe. The ladyfingers that we use actually have been around a lot longer. I think it was like 1300s or so.
They said, was it inspired by a trip to Italy?
Oh, it's always, if you can tell, I can't travel, right? I can't go to Italy, but I love bringing Italy to my kitchen, and I love to share. So inspired by, yeah, I guess so, because if I had never been to Italy, I don't know if I would have came up with this. And I didn't come up with it. Other people have done this, but this is my recipe, modified from others and tested, and then this is really how I like it. So now we have our filling for the tiramisu. So now we can start putting it together, the fun part. Dun, da, da. Let's move these guys over here. You can just stand by in case I need it. All right, so ladyfingers. So you do have the choice. This is the traditional brand. See if I say it right, the savoiardi, which is the Italian version of I think the Italian version, or maybe it's French. Well, anyhow, it's the ladyfingers that typically everyone uses. These are the people say are the best. But here's a gluten-free version that I found on Amazon. And these actually taste really good. Brittany actually preferred this one to the regular one.
Yeah, I definitely did.
So they're a lot, you're gonna get less ladyfingers in the package, and they're a lot larger. So here's your typical ladyfinger, and then here's the gluten-free one. But basically, it's a light, airy, kind of dry cookie that is gonna absorb the flavors. You also can do, some people prefer to use pound cake, use day-old pound cake, in lieu of the ladyfingers, which sometimes are hard to come by. Or you can make your own ladyfingers, or one other thing, you don't have to use ladyfingers at all. So let's get started.
Someone said ship them some. It looks so good. Yummy. A lot of comments about this one today.
That's awesome. So we are going to make, since I'm going to give this one to Brittany, and her boyfriend is celiac, so that's kind of how this whole thing started, is for her to learn more gluten-free recipes. Let's see if I can get it in here. I need a bigger bowl now. I'll just crack it. Let me see. So you're gonna dip them in the syrup just literally for a second, not longer. If you do, it'll be squishy, and I don't like squishy. Nobody does, really. And you want these to go in like tight little rows. Let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna have to break this one. Dun, dun, dun. So it's just a quick roll and put it in there. Another one in here. A quick roll. And you can use whatever size bowl you want, but you want to make sure that you cover the bottom. And then now when we put this all together, you're going to put it in the fridge for it to set up from 3 to 6 hours. It'll be good for about 2 days. And again, you can substitute lemon curd, mix in some limoncello or not, your choice. My first layer, I do like to put a lot in there, right? And then go in with your second layer. Dun, dun, dun. I hope you guys try this, give it a go. If you do, please let me know. Give me your suggestion. Is it lemony enough? You happy with it? Has anyone tried these gluten-free ladyfingers yet? And how about regular tiramisu? I do have the traditional recipe for tiramisu. And if you guys would like it, you can go ahead and slide into my DMs and I will forward it on to you. It's really easy to make. In fact, I'll even give you a recipe that you can make just for 2 people.
Someone has said, nice, my family has made it for a couple of generations.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a family thing. This is a family dessert. Usually made in large dishes and people just munch from it. That's super cool. All right, so there is, it's about my second layer. I'm filling this in because I'm kind of breaking them all, but it'll work. And then you're gonna cover it .
Someone also mentions the biscotti.
Mm-hmm.
And how it like cooks twice, preserves longer, so Roman armies carried biscotti for long trips.
Ooh,
so.
That's good facts, guys. Did you hear that? That's pretty awesome. These also look like, remember the Gerber crackers that kids would get to like munch on when they were teething? Almost like that, but lighter. All right, so this one took 2 layers, and you can decorate it all different ways. I actually have some dried lemon peels, actually dried. I have candied lemon peels. So I just put them on the stove, boiled them twice, changing the water, and then equal sugar and water, and then took them out, dried them, and tossed them in additional sugar, and you can just kind of keep those around to decorate whatever you want. And
what state are we in, Dina?
we are in Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Go Knights, go.
Yes, Prescott said happy game day, and his mom has lots of traditions as well.
Oh, that's super cool. Traditions for playing? Or just
for food. All different types of recipes that have been passed on to her.
So that is that one. This is one that I made last night and actually did with the candied lemons. And here's a fun one. So now we've got these two, and you can make some small individual sizes, great for parties or just for individual people. So what I'll do is I usually drop usually without making a mess, but drop some in the bottom. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm trying to clean up my mess. Yeah, that worked. Let's pretend like that didn't happen and see if I can do this right. All right. And you can also do this in a wine glass, teacups, any of that. So I made a small little layer, and then